I was reborn before I had time to react. My phone rang. It was a call from Ryan Carter. Emily Chen has a routine checkup today. Use the excuse we came up with and let my parents know. Okay. His tone carried the same entitled certainty as always. Just like countless times in my previous life. Whenever it had to do with Emily, I was always the first person he turned to. I took a deep breath and said, Ryan, I'm really tired of this. I don't want to keep lying to your parents. For you anymore. I've thought about it seriously. We should get a divorce. This isn't impulsive. I truly mean it. Emily's in poor health. And she needs your support more than anyone. Without waiting for a reply, I hung up. I stared blankly at the ceiling for a long time, before I could even begin to accept the fact that I had been reborn. Scenes from my previous life replayed in my mind. Like a movie pressured by his family, Ryan had eventually broken up with Emily. The very next day, I was set up on a blind date with him. Throughout that whole time, he never once mentioned Emily. I assumed he was just naturally reserved, and didn't think much of his silence. And so, just like that, we started dating in a blur. And I ended up becoming his wife, just as vaguely. On our wedding night, I was full of anticipation. I thought his aloofness before the wedding was just him, saving all his sweetness for this moment. But to my surprise, Ryan told me he had a friend who was very sick, and that he needed to visit them urgently. At the time, I knew nothing about Emily. I even assumed the friend was a man, being understanding. I told him not to worry, that a friend's health was more important. He didn't even give me a glance. Before walking out the door, he didn't come back until the early hours of the next morning. He rushed in and told, my friend's seriously ill. It's really sad. She was in so much pain during the checkup and treatment. I need to stay with her at the hospital for the next few days. Please understand. I'll never forget the look on his face at that moment. He spoke so casually about this friend, but his eyes were full of pain for Emily, and there was not even a trace of guilt for me. I remember silently handing him breakfast, smiling as I passed him a bottle of juice, saying patience come first. I understand, even when his parents asked why he didn't come home with me. I stepped up to cover for him, saying it was because he was busy with work. For 10 years of marriage, I was the perfect wife. Gentle, considerate, never causing trouble, never jealous or competitive. I just wonder when the news of my death in the fire reached him, did he feel even a sliver of sorrow? Emily, the delicate beauty in white, fulfilled his fantasy of being a hero, saving a damsel in distress. Wasn't that his greatest wish in our past life? This time, I'll let him have what he wanted. I'm really curious if he and Emily actually end up together in this life. Will that so-called happiness truly be within their grasp? I saw the pain Emily went through during her treatment. I didn't show you those videos just once or twice. As a woman myself, how could I not understand what she suffered? If there had been any other way, would he have turned to me for help so desperately? Was it really necessary to make such a fuss over something so small? Ryan's call came again through the screen. I could almost picture his expression. His brows furrowed, his face filled with impatience. Yes, I did see how much Emily suffered during her treatment. She was in real pain, I admit that. But wasn't he also suffering in his own way? In the video, Emily bit her lower lip hard, silently, enduring the excruciating pain of the treatment. While he stood by her side, he patiently and gently peeled an orange for her, even carefully picking out every bit of the pith. His gentleness and meticulousness were on full display. In all the years of our marriage, Ryan had never served me like that. In my previous life, I always made excuses for him, comforting myself in silence, trying to understand the weight of Emily Chen's illness. But had anyone at all ever tried to understand my suffering, even for a single moment? For 10 long years, they stood on their moral high ground and pressured me, sacrificing my happiness, in exchange for their sense of entitlement. In the end, I died on the road delivering a meal for them. I wasn't the one who made Emily sick. I wasn't her family. Why did I have to bear the cost of her misfortune? Over something so small. Ryan, we've been married for years. Have you ever truly looked at me with sincerity? I tolerated it when you chose to be with her instead of me. But I won't keep swallowing my pain in silence. I'm not happy with you. Let me go, that'll be your freedom too. I've already sent the divorce agreement to your messages if you're fine with it. Just print it out and bring it home for me to sign. In my past life, I endured until the very end, without ever mentioning divorce. I can already imagine Ryan's shock because in his world, my proposal for divorce must have felt like a thunderclap. Out of nowhere. After hanging up, I drove back home. Oh my girl finally remembered her mother, Mom said, sitting in the courtyard, sipping plain porridge, with a small plate of pickled vegetables. Weren't you supposed to have lunch at Ryan's parents' place today? Why'd you come back alone? As soon as she saw me step inside, she quickly set down her chopsticks and went into the kitchen, busying herself with making sweet and sour ribs. Mom, I missed you so much. I hugged her from behind, resting my cheek against her back, my eyes welling and up with tears. In my past life, my mother had also suffered from a serious illness, but she kept it hidden from me. She powered through the pain with only over-the-counter medication, enduring everything in silence, until she finally suffered a stomach hemorrhage that couldn't be reversed. Only then did she smile and tell me her bank card password. She'd even signed over the house to me. As a housewife, she told me Ryan's so busy with work, don't bother him. Even in her final moments, she didn't want to trouble us. I can't even imagine the pain she must have endured. Yet she always smiled and told me she was fine. That was her love. Her love meant she wanted me to live well, and that would be enough for her. But Emily, yes, she was seriously ill too. But every time she felt unwell, she would run to Ryan to pour her heart out. She even posted videos of her pain on social media, gasping for air, writing captions encouraging herself to stay strong, fishing for sympathy and admiration. In my last life, I accidentally came across Ryan's social media and saw that Emily had posted many of those videos. In them, she wore an exaggerated wig, her skinny fingers reduced to bone, but every fingernail sparkled with soft, pink rhinestones. Her heavy makeup and beauty filters made her appear heartbreakingly delicate and strangely captivating in front of the camera. On screen, she looked ethereal and fragile, but in real life she was just helpless and needy. Whether it was a doctor's visit, small daily tasks, buying meals, carrying water upstairs, even just wanting a cold drink in the summer, she would call on Ryan later, when her condition improved a little, and she returned home. If the faucet dripped, a light bulb burned out, or a cockroach showed up, her first reaction was still to go to Ryan. Ryan was my husband, but Emily never hesitated to order him around, like he was hers. Even the neighbors once mistook Ryan for her partner. You're so clingy today, Mom said with a chuckle. You were always like this when you were little. Couldn't stop sticking to me. Looks like that habit hasn't changed a bit. Mom smiled, though she teased me with her words. She didn't push me away. We had lunch at her place, thinking about the pain she endured in her past life. I ignored her objections and insisted on booking a specialist appointment for her at the best hospital in the province, using my phone, thanks to the experience of accompanying Emily Chin during her treatment in my previous life. I now knew exactly which department to go to and which expert to look for when it came to my mom. What surprised me was that, right after we finished eating, Ryan showed up at my mom's door with a bag full of fruit and health supplements. Ryan, what took you so long? We've already finished lunch. Come in and sit for a bit. I'll cook you a couple more dishes, Mom said cheerfully, not understanding why we had arrived separately. Without a second thought, she started toward the kitchen, ready to prepare more food. "Mom, don't worry about it. I already made his favorite dishes at home," I said with a little white lie, pulling Ryan away before Mom could exhaust herself. I didn't want her to be too tired, so I made up an excuse and let him out of the house. Sitting in Ryan's car, I began peeling off all the decorative stickers I had once carefully placed on the interior. I couldn't stand to see them anymore. Every one of them reminded me of how blind I used to be. "Sophia, can we talk?" Ryan frowned as he noticed my strange behavior. I was just about to remove another little trinket when he suddenly reached out to stop me. His hand, as always, was slightly cold. I remembered how I used to love holding his chilly hand, strolling with him down long, quiet paths at dusk. At night, I'd curl up in bed next to him, always reaching out instinctively to find his hand, because I craved closeness. But he always claimed he was tired, never showing the slightest interest in intimacy. I tried over and over to get close to him, but he remained unresponsive. Eventually, I resigned myself to a marriage devoid of warmth. If Emily hadn't shown me that video of Ryan looking genuinely moved, I probably would have kept deceiving myself forever. "What is there to talk about?" I said coldly. "How you never actually loved me. How marrying me was just your way of escaping family pressure. Or maybe we should talk about how Emily is still hiding in your heart." I let out a bitter laugh and yanked down the last trinket. Then I flung open the door, tossing all of them into the trash. All those memories gone in one move. "What's wrong with you? Why are you acting so irrationally? You were never like this before." Ryan snapped, his tone suddenly ice cold. He was angry in all 10 years of marriage. I could count on one hand the number of times he had truly shown emotion toward me, whether joy or rage. He had always been distant, never warm, never furious, just like a still pond, completely unmoved. But this version of me is the real me. The old me wasn't good. I was just naive and ignorant. I thought that if I kept being generous, kind, and understanding, maybe he'd learn to love me. But now I've finally woken up and I'm done wasting time. I shrugged and slid back into the passenger seat, calmly buckling my seat belt. Then I told him to drive to the nearest print shop. "Since you didn't say anything about the divorce agreement, I said I'll take that as your silent consent. Let's print it out now and sign it. The Civil Affairs office is open this afternoon. We'll book our divorce. If everything goes smoothly, you'll soon be free to be with Emily without hiding it. Ryan Carter this time. I hope you get what you truly wanted." I thought to myself. I smiled the entire time, feeling strangely calm inside. Looking back at who I used to be, I could finally see just how foolish I had been. Now, with freedom on the horizon, I actually looked forward to life again. If that accident hadn't happened in my past life, maybe I could have lived longer this time. Once Mom's health stabilized, I wanted to take her everywhere and let her try all the delicious foods she never got to enjoy. The future for once felt full of hope. "Is it because I rejected you last night? Just give me a little more time." Ryan seemed to think through everything that had happened and concluded that my outburst today must have stemmed from him turning me down when I had tried to be close the night before. He turned toward me, placing both hands on either side of my seat, caging me, and just then his phone rang. Though he tried to hide it, I instinctively knew it was Emily Chen. Ryan answered the call without thinking. "Ryan, I feel nauseous. I have a headache. My whole body's uncomfortable. Can you come be with me?" Nausea and headaches, go see a doctor. Or does having him with you magically make the pain go away? I snapped, unable to stop myself. Want someone else's husband? Be patient. Wait till I'm divorced. I'll personally escort him to the Civil Affairs office, so you can register your marriage. I yanked his phone from his hand, furious beyond reason. I couldn't stand Emily's pretentious, sickly sweet voice for one more second. After those few sharp words, I hung up the call without hesitation and immediately blocked her number. "I'll handle it. I'll make it up to you tonight," Ryan said as he reclaimed his phone, quickly undoing the block I had just set, then opened the car door and stepped out. I didn't say a word. I just let out a cold laugh and walked away from his car, without once looking back. I watched as the red glow of his taillights faded into the distance until they disappeared completely. I had told myself I needed to let him go, to give myself a new life. But still my chest felt unbearably heavy, like a massive stone pressing down on it, making it hard to breathe. It had become a cruel rule. In this endless tug of war between Emily and me, no matter what, I was always the one cast aside, even though I was his legal wife. I always ended up being the one left out. I hated how spineless I felt. Even after dying once, I still let Emily's manipulative games tear into my heart like blades in my past life. It wasn't until the very end, until I was on the brink of death, that I finally realized how calculated her clinginess had been. So many of those coincidental encounters were orchestrated by her, but I had never once suspected that she was deliberately sabotaging my marriage. Ryan would rush to her side whenever she called. I had felt uneasy, of course, but thinking of her health, I forced myself to be understanding and patient. As I stood in the coffee shop, printing out the divorce agreement that would finally set me free, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Ryan. There was a screenshot. The message read, "Don't worry about me. I'll be fine," in the screenshot. I saw Ryan gently helping a weak, pale Emily up the stairs. His gaze was firm, his steps steady. Emily's face was bloodless, her forehead dotted with sweat from pain. But despite that, she forced a smile and rested her hands lightly on Ryan's arm, making a peace sign toward the camera with her fingers. The image vanished after 2 seconds. He had unsent it. Ryan never unsent messages. The only person who could have used his phone to send that screenshot was Emily, seriously ill. Yet she still had the energy and free time to send me a message like that. Her resilience really did live up to its reputation. Helping her upstairs must be exhausting. Since you're so eager, why don't you help her for the rest of your life? I saved the screenshot silently, then replied to Ryan with a short message and attached the divorce agreement. Next, I posted everything publicly on my social feed. I made sure to tag that heartless man and that manipulative green tea girl. A storm was coming. I could feel it. So, without hesitation, I powered off my phone. While my mind was still calm, I drove to Ryan's parents' house. I had to admit, despite everything I had endured from Ryan and Emily, in my past life, his parents had always treated me with kindness. During our 10 years of marriage, even though we never had a child, they were anxious, yes, but they never pressured me. In front of others, they always spoke highly of me. And at home, whether it was food or daily essentials, they always made sure to give me the best of everything. Since I had now made up my mind to divorce Ryan, letting Ryan's parents know in advance was a sign of respect. Once everything was in place, and I stepped back into the home I had once shared with Ryan, night had already fallen. The divorce papers were no longer in my hands. His parents had taken them. They were firmly against us getting a divorce. In fact, to convince me to stay with Ryan, they even offered to transfer ownership of one of their properties to me. I knew the decision was a shock to them, hard to accept. So I chose to give them time and left the matter for another day. Just after the clock struck 10, Ryan pushed open the door and came in. As usual, he looked completely exhausted. Without a word, he sat beside me, like all the energy had been drained from his body. I thought he might have fallen asleep sitting there, until I felt the bed shift slightly on the other side. A sudden sense of unease washed over me. His hand quietly slid under my pajama top and a kiss landed unexpectedly on my back. Ryan, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind? I jolted in shock. In both my past life and this one, Ryan had never touched me this way. Every part of me resisted, my body instinctively recoiling. I immediately grabbed the blanket and moved to the edge of the bed, tense and on guard, like I was facing an enemy. All this chaos. Is it just because I never got close to you? He muttered. Sophia, you know my parents don't approve of Emily. Why would you tell them I was with her? His tone carried a strange intent, but his eyes were hollow, emotionless. It stood in stark contrast to the fire I had seen in that video Emily sent me. The way he looked at her. What if I hadn't said anything? Would you rather let your parents think I was the one cheating? I asked coldly. Everything I told them was true. If you think it's a problem, then maybe stop doing that. Get real, I'm not cheating. Nothing happened between me and Emily, he said, looking at me with deep frustration, swearing he and Emily were innocent. But to me it was already over. Maybe not in the literal sense, but in my eyes. You're far from innocent. This marriage is over. I don't have any feelings for you anymore. Emily needs you. She has no one else in the city but you. So go ahead, you should marry her. I repeated his own words from the past back to him, not changing a single syllable. Just give me a little more time. Once her treatment is done, I won't see her again, Ryan said, still convinced. I was just having an emotional outburst. Even though he knew full well what was happening, he still chose Emily. His dismissive tone pierced my heart like a needle. How could I have not seen it clearly in my past life? They were always meant for each other. I took a deep breath and calmed myself, letting clarity replace the storm of emotions. If we get divorced now, I won't take your parents' property or savings. But if it's a month from now, I'll accept everything they give me. Think about it. If someday you run out of money for Emily's treatment, will she still stay by your side? That night, our so-called negotiation led nowhere. Ryan believed that, as long as I accepted his parents' assets, I would never really leave him. So the next morning he carried on as usual, went straight to be with Emily. But I stood by my word. I clearly informed his parents that, even if they insisted on giving me the property, I would still go through with the divorce. They gave it to me anyway. They said they knew their own son too well. If they didn't give it to me, it would only end up in Emily's hands sooner or later. Between letting Emily drain away the savings they had built over decades and handing it to me, they preferred the latter. The entire conversation was recorded in detail by my attorney, with a notary present, and a video recording was made as legal evidence. I never once mentioned that since our marriage, all of Ryan's income had gone toward Emily's medical expenses. I had carried the entire burden of our household finances on my own. For years, once all the paperwork was finalized, a new idea started forming in my mind. That night, I stayed up late, carefully going through and organizing every single expense Ryan had made for Emily over the years. By the next morning, I went straight to the courthouse and filed a lawsuit against Emily Chen. As expected, it didn't take long before she received the summons. She came straight to my company looking for me. It was drizzling that day. She had clearly dressed up on purpose, drawing attention with her delicate appearance. The moment she saw me, she didn't say a word, just grabbed my leg and fell to her knees. Her heavily crafted makeup contrasted sharply with her pitiful posture, making her seem all the more fragile, helpless, and heartbreakingly pitiful. Within seconds, coworkers gathered around us. I knew exactly what Emily wanted to say, but before she could open her mouth, I dropped to my knees with a loud thud and burst into tears, putting on the performance of a lifetime. Emily, please, I cried, my voice raw. You're not the only one who's been seriously ill. All these years, every cent Ryan had saved went to you. I covered every single household expense on my own, just because you were a part of his past. And yes, because you're sick. I've respected you, I've shown compassion. But now my mom is ill too. She needs treatment. I can't keep using our joint finances to support you anymore. Emily froze, stunned. She had always seen me as the foolish, overly kind woman who endured everything without complaint. The one who would even smile politely at the woman stealing her husband. I'm helping you, I said in a lowered voice, leaning closer so only she could hear. Didn't you want to be Ryan Carter's wife? As long as you pay me back, he'll feel even more sorry for you and hate me even more. I've cleared the path for you. Whether you walk it or not is up to you. Whether I could truly escape this toxic marriage. And that unfaithful man now rested in this woman's hands. And to my absolute surprise, Emily did it. In order to win Ryan's sympathy, she paid me back every penny. I was dumbfounded when the money landed in my account. I could hardly believe it. I thought that money was lost forever. But she gave it back without a fight. Clearly she was dead set on marrying into Ryan's family. Not long after that, Ryan showed up at the entrance of my office, fuming with anger. Sophia, I always thought you were the reasonable one. Emily's been through so much. She's already suffering enough. Why would you push her like this? Don't you realize that by doing this, you're just making me resent you even more? He looked at me with what he probably thought was righteous fury. I see so now that she doesn't have a place to stay. Why don't you go ahead and buy her a new home? Your new home together, I said calmly, my voice steady and composed still, sounding like the understanding woman he once knew. I never wanted a divorce. Just give me more time, please. Seeing how indifferent my expression was, how emotionally detached I had become, he must have realized I wouldn't agree. He grabbed my wrists, suddenly trying to pull me into his arms. But Emily wants you to divorce. She wants to marry you. If I give you time, it's just extending her pain. Can you really bear to watch her suffer? Just as he reached out again to embrace me, I sidestepped smoothly. I no longer believe that. Ryan didn't understand Emily's intentions. He was simply pretending not to see it. I stuffed the signed divorce agreement into his hand and walked away without looking back. In the end, I felt as though a weight had finally been lifted. The divorce was finalized. Turns out Emily was more ruthless than I had expected. As soon as I handed the papers over to Ryan, he brought her into his home. He had never truly let go of his feelings for her. After moving in together, it only took a few carefully placed manipulations before Emily made Ryan cross the moral line he had once claimed he wouldn't. Soon after, all our divorce procedures were complete. And, just like that, it happened. Emily in a pale pink dress, gently clinging to Ryan's arm. The two of them followed up right away to collect their red marriage certificate. Perfectly seamless. Even the staff at the Civil Affairs Bureau looked visibly exasperated. But due to the principle of marital autonomy, they couldn't say much. All they could do was turn a blind eye and let it happen. As for the sympathetic looks others threw my way, I just gave a faint smile. I didn't care. Wishing you both a lifetime of happiness, I said softly. But deep down, I knew Ryan hadn't dared to tell his parents about marrying Emily. Yet on top of that, Emily had lost her ability to have children due to illness, and her health was far from stable. Maybe there was some doubt before, but now I was 1000% certain. This marriage would never be the blissful union they imagined. Just looking at Emily's outfit today said it all. The high medical costs on one hand, and the pressure to maintain a luxurious lifestyle on the other. Ryan was going to be crushed under the weight of it all. Sophia, I really should thank you, Emily said smugly, flaunting the marriage certificate in her hand. If it weren't for you, Ryan wouldn't have realized so quickly who his true love is. There was a smile on her face that looked grateful, but her eyes couldn't hide the contempt in her mind. Whether it was looks, figure, or her ability to manipulate affection, she believed she was superior to me. Snatching Ryan from me fulfilled her need to win. In this moment, it was as if she wanted to announce her victory to the entire world. "You two really are a perfect match," I said calmly, my words laced with double meaning. There was a spark in my eyes, one they couldn't quite decipher. Truthfully, I was looking forward to it. I couldn't wait to see how the two of them would rip each other apart and destroy themselves. In the process, back home, I didn't immediately delete their contact information. Instead, I began making plans to upgrade my living space so my family could live more comfortably. I was about to sign for a larger, high-rise apartment when Emily came to confront me. "Sophia, you need to give back the house Ryan's parents gave you." She demanded. She looked different, noticeably thinner, though her makeup was still flawless, and she remained beautiful. Her overall presence had dulled. Her spirit had clearly taken a hit. The property was legally transferred to my name through a formal gifting process. The law recognizes it as mine. Now what right do you have to demand it back? I replied firmly. Over the past 6 months, I'd stayed in regular contact with Ryan's parents. They told me that after Ryan and Emily got their marriage certificate, she had pretended to be respectful and loving toward them, putting on a show. But that act didn't last long. Soon the truth came out. She began pressuring Ryan to ask them for money and property. The elderly couple, aside from keeping a modest 600 square foot unit for themselves, had transferred everything else to me. When Emily realized she wouldn't get a penny from them, she began ignoring them altogether. As for Ryan, after getting married, every dollar of his salary went directly into Emily's hands. But that little money wasn't nearly enough to cover her treatments and extravagant lifestyle. On top of that, Emily's deep-rooted insecurities only made things worse. Their married life quickly became a mess. Arguments were a daily occurrence. "You really fooled me, Sophia," she sneered. "I underestimated you. No wonder you encouraged me to go after Ryan. Turns out you had already stashed away the family's property. You get all the money without the burden of caring for them. What a comfortable life you've made for yourself. Don't think I'll let this go. You owe me an explanation today. Or don't blame me for turning hostile." With Ryan absent, Emily dropped all pretenses. She tore off her mask and showed her true face, unapologetically vicious. The way her face twisted when talking about money was almost unreal. "Do you want to handle this privately or involve the police?" "I'm ready either way," I said coolly. I had already informed Ryan about accepting the property gift, and since my rebirth, I had recorded every conversation between us. The entire gifting process had been done through proper legal channels, with video documentation and a lawyer present. I had nothing to fear legally. Perhaps Emily had heard about that too, because after that outburst at my door, she finally quieted down for a while. She didn't call the police, nor did she cause any more trouble. So I simply treated her as if she didn't exist, and went on living my life. I ate well, drank what I liked, and even moved into my new place. Life was quite comfortable. Since Ryan's parents had given me all their savings, I occasionally visited them, always making sure to stop by when neither he nor Emily was around. But during one of those visits, I unexpectedly ran into Ryan. It had only been 6 months, yet he looked much older. His temples were already flecked with gray. I stood awkwardly with a gift bag in hand, unsure of how to address him. "Sophia, you're here. Come in, come in. I just made your favorite sweet and sour ribs." "What perfect timing. What a lucky girl you are." Ryan's mother beamed and pulled me to the dining table with genuine warmth to try her cooking. I didn't hold back. I took a bite of the ribs and sincerely complimented her culinary skills. By the end of the meal, I was full and in good spirits. Ryan, on the other hand, barely touched his food. He sat quietly, barely speaking, eating only a few bites of rice. His parents used to be so attentive to him, even in his 30s. They worried over whether he was eating well, sleeping enough. But something had changed. That night their focus was entirely on me, the so-called outsider, and not on their own son. After dinner, I got ready to leave. Ryan's parents packed my arms full of food and gifts, while Ryan walked away with nothing, not even air to carry home. When I said goodbye, they didn't offer him a single word in farewell. That cold, indifferent moment made it painfully clear. The relationship between Ryan and his parents had reached rock bottom, and he had no one to blame but himself. I didn't feel the slightest guilt. I got into the driver's seat and was just about to start the car when Ryan gently placed his hand on my window. "Sophia, can we talk?" he asked softly, his voice hoarse. "Talk about what?" "I don't think there's anything left for us to say," I replied calmly. I couldn't think of a single topic we could still share. Inwardly, I felt thankful that he had never truly become a part of my life. If we had had a child together, this marriage wouldn't have been so easy to leave behind. Emily's been hiding her gambling from me. She's been doing it online to relieve stress. If we can't come up with some money soon, we might end up on the streets, he admitted, his voice filled with weariness and helplessness. "What does that have to do with me?" I said flatly. "If you're broke, then rent a place. People figure it out." I'd nearly forgotten that Emily hadn't worked in ages, living off one income between the two of them. It was no wonder money was tight. I analyzed their situation without emotion, but somewhere deep down, I felt a quiet pressure settle over me. In our last life, Emily drained Ryan of everything he had, and he never once complained. This time, I truly wanted to know, how long could he keep it up? Out of curiosity, before he even had the chance to ask, I refused him outright. Car engine purred to life, and as it pulled away, his figure grew smaller and smaller in the rearview mirror, until he disappeared completely. In that moment, scenes from my past life flashed through my mind. Every time Ryan had abandoned me, my eyes stung. I wasn't crying for him. I was mourning the version of me who once loved him so deeply. But I was also grateful to have the chance in this life to reclaim what I'd lost. Some time passed, and as usual, I went to visit Ryan's parents again. But before I could even step through the gate, Ryan suddenly appeared and grabbed my wrist. "Sophia, we've been divorced for a while now. You haven't found a new boyfriend. You still visit my parents often. You still have feelings for me, don't you?" His eyes were bloodshot, his breath reeking of alcohol, and his grip on my wrist was shockingly strong. "I didn't know how to appreciate you before. I missed my chance. I owe you so much. Please give me one more chance. I'll make it up to you." He slurred, swaying slightly from the liquor. "It wasn't until I was with Emily that I realized how much you had done for me." "You're overthinking it," I said flatly. "I'm not seeing anyone because I've been focused on my career, working for promotions, making money, traveling. I visit your parents because they treated me kindly, and they gave me a significant share of their assets. I have a responsibility to care for them. It has nothing to do with you." Seeing how drunk he was, I didn't go inside. I pulled my hand free and left, getting into my car and driving away. Later, I heard from his parents that Emily, frustrated that Ryan couldn't meet her material demands, had decisively filed for divorce. It wasn't until the day of the divorce that Ryan realized Emily had already found someone new. After their split, Ryan began openly and desperately pursuing me. He tried everything to win me back. For 3 years straight, he chased after me, doing whatever he could to make me happy. Then one day, I appeared before him arm in arm with my husband. "Ethan Lynn, let me introduce you," I said with a smile. "This is my husband, Ethan Lynn." I didn't bother to look closely at Ryan's expression. Ethan held my hand firmly and grinned, teasing. "Couldn't bear to watch you suffer anymore. Had to step in and let him lose out." I tiptoed and kissed Ethan on the cheek. In truth, Ethan and I had already registered our marriage a year earlier. I hadn't told Ryan because I wanted him to taste the bitterness I'd endured in my past life. Originally, I had planned to let him suffer for a few more years, but Ethan treated me so well that I couldn't wait to build a family with him. I gave up the idea of revenge. A year later, my wish came true. I gave birth to a healthy baby boy.